Actually, Israel is a democratic country. And as a democratic country, all citizens of Israel are treated equally by the Israeli law. And in Israel, there are 20% of Israeli citizens who are not Jewish, who are Arabs like me. Some of them are Muslim, some of them are Christian, some of them are Druze, and other religions. So we take a lot of pride in the diversity of Israel, and also we take a lot of pride in the success of the integration of the various minorities, religious and ethnic, in the Israeli society. So for example, we've had an Israeli Arab judge in the Supreme Court of Israel now, also one before him and before. We've had some of the leading Israelis in the high-tech sector in technology were Arabs. If you look today, who is the most prominent Israeli in the world in the high-tech and innovation field? It is the vice president of Apple. His name is John Isruji, and he's the one who convinced Steve Jobs, the owner of Apple before and the CEO of Apple, to open an R&D center in Israel a few years ago. Some of the leading doctors in Israel are Arabs. In fact, more than 40% of the pharmaceuticals experts in Israel are Arabs. The leading researcher in Weizmann Institute in Israel on genome research is an Arab Israeli. So we take a lot of pride that Arabs are part of those avenues, whether it is in law, in government. We even have ambassadors. I'm not the first Israeli Arab ambassador. We've had a Muslim Arab ambassador of Israel in Finland, in Greece. Today we have Arab Druze ambassadors also in various countries in the world. Our next ambassador to Turkmenistan, who will start his position in a couple of months, is a Bedouin Muslim who will represent Israel there. So that's something we are very, very proud of, and I think it reflects to the diversity and the democracy that Israel represents. And that's, by the way, something we share with Azerbaijan, the freedom of faith and the tolerance and the coexistence between people of different faith. Despite the fact that we also live in a place with conflict, we are able to maintain this kind of coexistence and living side by Jews, Muslims, and Arabs. And I'm sitting here today giving this interview as the Israeli ambassador, while I'm not Jewish by faith, but rather a Christian by faith, an Arab by ethnicity, an Israeli by nationality. So you can imagine, for example, when I go to the Jewish synagogue here, that I'm talking to an Azerbaijani who speaks on behalf of Azerbaijan, but he's Jewish, while I'm speaking on behalf of Israel, and I'm an Arab and a Christian. So I think that's a beautiful picture that shows the diversity of both our countries. So far, the new government has not changed any rules about repatriation, but there are debates about it. Some parties in the coalition agree, some parties in the coalition do not agree to the change, so there will be a debate. By the way, also in the opposition, which was the government until lately, there are diverse opinions on this. Some of them support this, some of them oppose it. The idea in the base of the repatriation law as it is today is the fact that you can be Jewish by a religion, which according to the Jewish faith goes according to the mother. If your mother is Jewish, you are Jewish. But the state of Israel does not define Jews as in the right of repatriation according to the Jewish religious definition, but rather in a definition that is attributed by the state of Israel, which says, as you rightly mentioned, that if you have one of your grandparents who was Jewish, then you are entitled for repatriation to Israel. So some people think that's too much, some people think that's too little, and that's a natural debate of the vibrant democracy that we have. And at the end, the people chose their representatives in the Knesset, in our parliament. They will discuss and they agree. Basically, Jews in Russia are Some of them are still in Russia, some of them have already moved to Israel, and some of them are in third countries as well. There's no special system with regard to third countries that will serve the Russian Jews. The idea was that we would allow Jews from Russia who want to repatriate to Israel to come through Azerbaijan as a transit position. And I can say that this has been working pretty well for a while, which basically means that they can board Azal flights to Baku or any other flight and from here continue to Israel. There's no camp, there's no such institution in Azerbaijan, but it's rather to serve as a smooth entry between the two countries.
So it's something like additional service?
Yes, more of a transit service rather than camps or anything that people have in their imagination. I will start by correcting you there. Prime Minister Netanyahu did not say that Iran is going to be one of his foreign policy priorities. He said it will be the biggest and most important priority, not just in foreign policy, but in all the national security policy of Israel. Iran is not just another issue for Israel. It is the main threat that we have to face. And the greatest threat that Iran poses is the possibility of Iran acquiring nuclear weapons. That is something that will be extremely dangerous to Israel and the region, and extremely dangerous for countries all around Iran and beyond the immediate neighborhood of the Middle East, to Europe, to Russia, to the United States. I mean, look at the immunity regimes like North Korea are getting because they have nuclear weapons. And imagine Iran activating its proxies with a nuclear umbrella behind them. That is something we simply cannot allow. And Israel will do whatever it takes, alone or with others, to make sure that Iran will never have nuclear weapons. However, I don't think this is something that Israel alone should be working on, because I don't think Iran is necessarily an Israeli problem, just like Iran is not an Azerbaijani problem. Iran is a regional and a global problem, and I think the whole world should work together to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, to prevent and stop Iran from continuing its malicious activity in the region, interfering in the internal affairs of other countries, sowing havoc and chaos and trouble in all the countries wherever Iran is involved. Whether it is from Lebanon to Syria to Iraq to Yemen to the South Caucasus and other places, wherever they go, they bring destruction, hate, and death. So I think the world should treat this as a global problem, and Iran can be stopped. It can be stopped by imposing crippling sanctions and enforcing them, while having a credible military option that will deter Iran from moving forward in its program. Now, Iran is not only, as I said, it's not only a nuclear threat. It is also a threat with its conventional capabilities that are growing militarily. We see the drones that are being sold to Russia, and we see them training those proxies around the region. We know this firsthand with Hezbollah in Lebanon, Islamic Jihad and Hamas in Gaza. We see them doing it in Syria and in other places, and they declared all kinds of proxies like the Husseiniya or whatever organizations that they suppose can work on their behalf. So again, they are trying to create a region filled with instability and to destabilize countries around them. And I think that's something that the region cannot allow. Iran opposes any cooperation with Israel by any country, let alone Muslim countries. We have seen it with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain when they declared the Abrahamic Accords and the signing of the agreement with Israel and the normalization. We have seen it with other countries, Muslim who are Arab and non-Arab Muslim countries. And I'm pretty sure, as they always say, that they're not happy about the growing cooperation between Israel and Azerbaijan, but our bilateral relations are our bilateral relations. They are not something for third countries. I can tell you that first of all, we congratulate Azerbaijan for taking a decision that we think is long due to open an embassy in Israel. We want to thank the parliament for taking the decision on 18th of November and the president for signing it into law. This is going to allow the level of representation between our countries to match the level of depth that we have in our strategic relations. And I think the embassy opening is going to serve both countries, especially Azerbaijan, that will have a representation in Israel to meet and talk to the representatives of government, of business, of NGOs and others to develop this close cooperation that we want to develop between our countries. About the process of the embassy, I can tell you that this is something that is going in a very satisfying pace. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Fariz Rezai visited Israel at the end of December. These issues were brought up. We have put some milestones, and we hope that in the next few months the embassy will be open, more sooner than later, we hope. And as for the appointment, there has been also progress between the two countries on the identity of the ambassador. But I have deep respect for the rules and laws of this country, and until there's a presidential decree, we cannot publicize the identity of the new ambassador. The opening of the embassy is going to be, as I always say in my meetings with Azerbaijanis, and as they tell me as well, it's not an end of a process. It's not something that we reached and after this we stop. On the contrary, this is a opening point for a broader, deeper, and more meaningful cooperation between our countries. Until now, our relations have been based on three major pillars. First one is the security strategic cooperation. Secondly, the energy cooperation. As you know, Israel is one of the main destinations of oil export from Azerbaijan. And the third one is the deep history of friendship between Azerbaijani people and the Jewish people, and the public affection in Israel towards Azerbaijan and from Azerbaijan towards Israel. What we are trying to do now, and I think the embassy is going to be pivotal in that effort, is to develop first of all, to deepen the strategic relations in all those fields, but at the same time, to broaden it and deepen it in other aspects as well, in trade, in commerce, in tourism, in culture, in academic exchanges, and others. So I can tell you that in parallel to the opening of the embassy, the Israeli Minister of Foreign Affairs, Eli Cohen, was also appointed as the co-chair of the Joint Commission of Israel-Azerbaijan, the Intergovernmental Commission, and he will be co-chair alongside Minister Jabarov. And we hope to convene the Joint Intergovernmental Commission soon to discuss how we can expand the existing relations between our countries in various fields. And I'll give you a few examples. First of all, in the field of development, agriculture, and trade. In agriculture, we have already started this year, in 2022, in 2022, we have taken 50 Azerbaijanis for a one-year training in Israel, during which they will learn in the Arava Institute, one of the leading agriculture institutes in Israel, practical and theoretical studies, and then they will come back here and contribute from their knowledge to the Azerbaijani agricultural sector. This year, 2023, we're going to send at least the same amount of people, maybe even more. In the field of tourism, we have seen already in the first half of 2020, in the data of the first half of 2022, we have already broken records. If the trend continues, we are waiting for the full year data to see, but it seems that we have crossed the 50,000 tourists threshold, which was the peak from 2019. And I think the opening of the embassy is going also to expand those relations. I mean, the Tourism Board Office was already opened in Israel last year, but this will also bring more direct flights, which we will see as Azal is expecting to open 8 direct flights per week to Israel starting this season. And Israeli Airlines, Israel and others are going to also add a few lines. We're going to have sometimes more than 1 flight per day direct between our countries. That's an incredible achievement for the development of tourism. In the field of academic exchanges, Azerbaijan has declared for the first time that Azerbaijanis can go to learn for masters and PhDs in Israel, paid for by the Ministry of Education of Azerbaijan in specific topics that are in the interest of Azerbaijan. And our universities has expressed readiness to accept and absorb many Azerbaijani students, as many as needed, basically, if you spread them across the different academic institutes. The Technion in Israel, which is the MIT of Israel, one of the top 5 in the world, has opened a cyber studies center together with the Ministry of Digital and Transport here in Baku, which will be open, inshallah, in the next few months. And cultural exchanges are expected to expand. Soon we are going to have very big cooperations in water desalination in Azerbaijan. An Israeli company is expected to sign a deal and to build the first desalination plant in Azerbaijan in cooperation with AIC, Azerbaijan Investment Company, and Sojitz, the Japanese company that is investing. We have various projects in agriculture, in cyber, in water management. Mekorot, the Israeli National Water Company, signed an agreement with Water Amelioration Committee here to do a study about the needs of Azerbaijan for the water management and try to implement them in the next few years. And so on in so many fields. So I think the embassy is going to definitely play a very important role. Israel is already producing gas from the Mediterranean. We have quite big gas fields, Tamar, Leviathan, and we're discovering more and more. Unfortunately, Azerbaijani companies have not been part of our gas explorations so far, but SOCAR did go to Israel to try to look for explorations before. Some of it were successful, some of it was not. And we still invite SOCAR and others to come to Israel and take part in those projects. The bigger issue for Israel in the gas field, in this world, is how to export our gas abroad. And that's something we also can learn from Azerbaijan. You have developed a very good business and marketing environment around Azerbaijani gas, and we are looking for ways to bring our gas to Europe, and we have several ways to explore, and that's going to be up to the new government to see whether we liquefy our gas and send it as liquid. Do we send it to Egypt and from there to Europe, liquefied or via pipe? Do we build the EastMed pipeline through Cyprus, Greece, Italy? Or do we connect through Turkey, maybe to the Taptanap? So these are all options we are exploring, and that's up to the decision makers in Israel to decide what is the right policy for Israeli energy exports. I do my work, and others should do their work, and I find social media a very useful tool in my connection with the Azerbaijani people. And I'm very proud of the good communication that I have here with the social media user of Azerbaijan, especially those on Twitter and Instagram, where I'm more active. And, you know, it's natural. When you post things, some people like it, some people don't. I don't obsess myself with the reactions to that. I just do my job. As I said before, we don't comment on military or strategic defense-related security issues in the media. we'd rather work than talk. The issue of the rebuilding of Karabakh has been one of the key issues that has been occupying the minds of some of the leading people in this country on how to beat. After all, Karabakh territory is completely destroyed from what I have seen, and I've been almost to all the regions of Karabakh. So the work of rebuilding it is going to take a lot of time. Karabakh, the territory that was liberated, is half the size of all the state of Israel. So I can imagine if we had to rehabilitate half of our country, it would take us decades to do it. But Azerbaijan has a very ambitious plan to bring people there to live and to work and to rebuild their homes and to rebuild the entire territory in a short time frame. So I want to say that Israel is here and we are ready to cooperate in any field that the government of Azerbaijan deems necessary. We are already involved in various areas. Everybody heard about the dairy farm that was established in Zangilan in the smart village of Aghali with an Israeli company. But we are also trying to develop, and some of it is already on the ground, cooperation in Agdam and in other places in the fields of agriculture, in the field of perimeter security, in the field of renewable energy, and in the field of water management. Because also in Karabakh you have the opposite problem. You have a lot of water, but you need to manage it well to make sure that everyone enjoys the water coming down. I remember when I visited Kalbajar, every turn you take with the car, you have a river next to you. It's quite amazing. It's really unique. So that also requires a lot of management because other areas are more arid, and how to use this water smartly is something that is an Israeli expertise. So we are in conversations with the Azerbaijani authorities also about, for example, models of smart cities and demining as well. So wherever our expertise will be needed, we will be there. I have good news that an Israeli Pharma company has decided and signed an agreement with Alat Free Trade Zone. They're going to establish a pharmaceutical factory in Alat Free Trade Zone, an Israeli company called Biopharmax. They are going to produce different types of medicine, including, for example, insulin for diabetes, cancer treatment pills, and so on. That's a huge step for us. It's for the first time a pharma company from Israel is investing in Azerbaijan, and they're going to invest and to build the plant that will be built here. And I think we have seen a lot of delegations in the last 2 years of hospitals and clinics from Israel. I hosted here at least 3 of them, from Sheba, from Hadassah, from other clinics in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv. And there is an interest to develop the cooperation in the health field, and some of it is already being developed. So I hope soon there will be greater presence of Israel here, first in the pharma, second in the reforming and the shaping of the healthcare system in Azerbaijan, because we have one of the leading, not just doctors, but healthcare system in Israel. Everything is digitalized, everything is well run, everyone receives equal treatment by the doctors, and there's no room for corruption, there's no room for false diagnosis. It's something that I think from the whole world are coming to learn about our medical management system. And thirdly, about the medical facilities and the equipment and expertise. So we are in touch with the Ministry of Health and with Tabib and with the mandatory insurance. And we are hoping together to develop the cooperation in this field. As you can see, there's a lot to develop, from renewable energy to health, to agriculture, to water, to academy, and so on. And we are only one embassy. So I hope soon with the Azerbaijani embassy in Israel, we will have 2 embassies working on developing these fields, and we will see the progress going even deeper and faster.